guys, Shannon here. Today I'm going to talk about my very first SeaWheeze experience. So if you don't know what SeaWheeze is a half marathon that is put on by Lululemon in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. So this wasn't my first half marathon ever. Before I started CrossFit, I was a half marathoner into an ultra marathoner, and then got into CrossFit. But this was my first half marathon in quite a while. Not my fastest, but probably the one I was most sore after. I'm going to talk to you from basically the beginning, where it's a lottery draw where you have to enter in order to actually be able to pick to register for the event. So basically you enter to pay them money, which is a pretty sweet deal for Lululemon. But anyways, basically all the way from lottery through the registration process to the actual event, and then just kind of my thoughts post-event. So let's get started. So first was the lottery. So the way that Lululemon SeaWheeze works is that you can either enter as a team. So let's say that you and 4 of your friends all want to go and train together and do it together and have the full experience together. You can enter as a team. However, the downfall of that one is, let's say one of your friends says, oh, it conflicts, I can no longer make it, and they decide not to register. That means none of you can register, which I don't really understand. I'm sure that they have a reason why they make the registration process that way. To me, that one spot should just go back into the pool because they do a second draw. But anyways, that's what they do. So there's a team. And then there's also an individual draw. Basically, if you just want to put your name in, hope for the best. If you want to do it with a friend, I went by myself. It was fine. Of course, these things are always more fun when you do it with someone. This year, I decided to take a chance and put my name into the individual draw. And luckily, I got picked. So I was super stoked to be able to train and have the experience of going and running the SeaWheeze event. Then, after you get picked, you have to make sure that you register in time. So I think the race this year was $178 Canadian. There might have been some other fees and taxes on top of that, but I think that's how much the race was. And then as part of registering for the event, they send you a package that has like your wristband that you have to wear all weekend because it gets you in and out of things and stuff like that. As well as they send you shorts. And in the past, usually anything that's kind of exclusive Lululemon type apparel has been pretty coveted. But if you haven't seen the shorts that they gave this year, I'll show them to you here. So as you can see, I'm super excited about them because the tag is still on. I've had them for months. They kind of are, so they're the hot shorts, 2.5-inch inseam. They kind of remind me of a Cosby sweater. You know, the Cosby Show, if you ever watch that, kind of a Cosby sweater. Not a super fan of them. I'll probably wear them at some point just because I feel like I earned them and I pay $178 for them and the experience of running, but not my favorite print that Lululemon has ever done. Also in that package, they send you a training program. The training program was a bit vague, which I get. I understand why they do it a bit vague because there's a whole lot of ability levels. And so that also would include mileage and the amount of training that you would do based on your training age. However, I think probably what would be cool, because they send it in like this big poster format, which is really neat. I think what would be cool is to have that as like motivation up on the board, but then potentially a link to something like, oh, I want to finish in 2 hours. What should my training mileage look like, as well as my training paces? What should that look like? Same thing if it's like, oh, it's just your first half marathon. Here's a good way to approach your training versus somebody who has a very specific kind of time goal and things like that. That would be kind of cool, because then what that also might allow people to do is to be able to say, oh, this is where I should probably start based on the seating of the projected finish times at the start of the event. But that would just be maybe something to think about in the future, is put out that big motivational poster, but then provide a link to some made for you training plans based on someone's projected finish time or hopeful finish time. They also send you where you put together your mantra. So you have these categories of words to choose from and some stickers and stuff like that. So one thing I will say with Lululemon is they are very good at creating an experience and an emotional tie to events that they put on. Kind of the next step along the process, including your training is important, is the registration for the events. So like I said, the SeaWheeze is more like an experience versus a more traditional half marathon. So they have lots of like fun and motivational things to bring the community together. So some of those things are like yoga, meditation, mindset, goal setting, the showcase, of course. So the showcase, if you don't know what that is where all the exclusive SeaWheeze apparel is. They had like hair braiding, nail painting, a bunch of different things. So there's 10,000 people who register for SeaWheeze. Obviously not everyone always comes because of whatever reason. There's usually an attrition or a dropout rate for people. But I registered right away for Showcase. I believe the first time slot was a 6 or 6:15 a.m. I registered for 7, I think, thinking that, oh, like 7 a.m., I'm going to have to wait in line for maybe like a half an hour or so, and then I'll get into the showcase. Not the case, but I'll get to that. What I want to talk about first is the registration for the events. So I think there was something a little bit glitchy happening because I got right away, registered for my showcase, registered for some other things, and had a lot of options for like hair braiding, which I thought would be really cool because if you've ever tried to braid your hair before, that is an endurance event in itself, and I cannot do it. So I thought it'd be really cool to have like a nice hair braid for the race, but I couldn't even choose it. I had a lot of choices, like I could, but I just couldn't click on anything. And then something must have happened because a lot of people had their nail painting and hair braiding canceled, which also Lululemon gave them a $50 gift card, which is pretty solid. I just don't know why I couldn't even register for those things when I had the chance. I thought maybe it's because I had to choose everything before getting to that, but it just did not work for me. Anyways, so there's that aspect of it as well, where you have to go on and you have to register for each of your different events, whatever you want to go to. So funny story about travel to actual SeaWheeze was I live in Shore Park, which is just outside Edmonton. And to me, when I'm paying for about an hour and a half domestic flight, so within Canada, to me that should be like $99 each way, maybe $150. That's kind of like what I'm willing to pay. And so I kept my eyes on the flights to Vancouver, and they just kept on getting more and more expensive. So like $500, $600, $700, $800 per person, which made me think I just want to drive. But my husband said, no, it's too far. We're not going to drive. We're just going to pay for the flight. So we decided to try Flair Air. And so we flew into Abbotsford. So Glenn, my husband, took care of the flight information. He's like, I got a hotel as well, which is awesome. However, he didn't realize that I needed to be in Vancouver super early. I needed to be there Thursday afternoon. I needed to be there Friday morning for the showcase. And I needed to be there Saturday morning early for the race. So Abbotsford is about an hour drive from Vancouver. So that was not ideal. I don't recommend driving an hour each way in Vancouver traffic on race day. Package pickup went pretty smooth. Like I said before, you get a wristband, you choose your package pickup time. They had little scanners where you scan your wristband. Lots of volunteers there that are super helpful. So package pickup was pretty painless. What's awesome about Lululemon, again, they're very big on the customer experience. So there's lots of like little goodies and things to see and do. So you got this drawstring bag, which is an exclusive Lululemon one. And in there, you also got an exclusive SeaWheeze water bottle. And then you got tokens to go and get a few free items. So one of the items you could get was the Sage Peppermint Halo. They also had these at the 10K in Edmonton, which is nice. They had a token so that you could go and get a piece of their new self-care kit, so you could choose between their deodorant and their dry shampoo. And since I already have their anti-stink deodorant, I decided to go for the dry shampoo. So I haven't tried it yet. I'll have to let you know what I think of it. Most of the time I find dry shampoo, I always just spray it way too close, which makes my hair look like it's gray. But anyways, got some noon tabs in there and a couple other things as well. What was also super cool was that I'm a Lululemon practice member, and there was a handwritten card attached to my bib, which was pretty nice. Now, the other thing that you're supposed to use this for is if you're there by yourself or whatnot, you put your clothes in here to change into post-race. And there's a bag check. Now, the bag check that morning was super long, super duper long. So I was pretty grateful that I had Glenn there who had all of my stuff. Then Friday morning, I did the showcase. And so the showcase is the coveted, I'll say even more so than the race, the coveted event that people pay for, I think. So basically they have like a whole convention center room set up with exclusive gear that you can only get at SeaWheeze. They limit how many items you can get. You can get 10 items, 10 accessories, and 5 reflective pieces. And I think if you were to get all of those things, you're probably dropping a couple of grand for sure. Register for 7 a.m. thinking I'd wait in line for 45 minutes. No, it was a 2-hour wait. I won't even say an experience. It was basically about 2 hours of waiting, which I think is probably pretty ridiculous. I don't know how they could make it better other than, yeah, I don't know how they could make it better. It was a pretty long wait. And then I didn't know that there was also the reflective stuff that you got a card to get in line for. But even by the time I went through there, a lot of the stuff was sold out, especially in my size, because I'm a pretty average size, somewhere around 8 to 10 in most things. So I'll show you some of the stuff that I did get. We'll start with kind of the most boring, is a pair of Fast and Freeze. So again, an exclusive color. The kind of the cool thing about the SeaWheeze stuff is they have a special SeaWheeze, if I can find it, Lululemon stamp. So that's kind of how you know that something is a SeaWheeze exclusive. I think they change it every year. I think another year I saw it had circles around it and stuff like that. So that's what this year, 2019 SeaWheeze look like. So I got some Fast and Freeze because these are the best tights. I wear them for running. I wear them for CrossFit. Yoga, I think they're a little bit too constricted for me. I prefer the Align pants for yoga. But yeah, these are awesome. They also had a cranberry crimson color that I kind of regret not buying, but there's those. And then again, not as exciting, but Swiftly's are life. So I got a blue Swiftly long sleeve, and I got a pink tank top, again with the SeaWheeze exclusive stamp on it. And then the other thing that is with Lulu is lots of times their SeaWheeze stuff is very bright and in your face. And I had a pair of their bright in your face Fast and Freeze in my hands for a while. I decided not to get them. I thought that they were really cool because they were exclusive and they were bright. But the actuality of me really wearing them, probably low. So, but what I did get is I got this kind of subtle Swiftly that is tie-dye. And what's cool about these is they all look a little bit different and stuff. So I got those. And then I also got, so these were the ones that I got that were a little bit crazy. There's the speed shorts. I got these guys, and I forgot to grab them, but I also got a pair of tracker shorts that are kind of this color as well. And then I decided to get this muscle tank that has the SeaWheeze stuff on it, 2019. So that's what I got at the showcase. I can't imagine how much some people spend there, to be honest, because that alone was too much money. Next up is race day. So I think, if I remember correctly, we're supposed to be there around 7, or race is supposed to maybe start around 7:30 or something like that. Can't remember. Anyways, got there. My timing was really good. Always lineups at the washrooms. So any race you do, just be prepared for that. No matter if it's porta potties inside the convention center, because everyone always has the nervous pees or poops before a race. So just be prepared to wait in line. So probably give yourself a little bit of time for that. So then it was time to make my way to the start line. And I would say that was a bit of a cluster for sure. So there was 10,000 racers. I've been in races that have been up to 30,000 people, which were really easy to navigate and get into a start corral and things like that. Whereas this one, I had planned on, this one was all self-seating, which means that you choose where you think you should start. And what I learned at the 10K in Edmonton is a lot of people don't know where they should self-seed. But I thought, oh, maybe a half, it's going to be a little bit better. You just couldn't even get to where you needed to go. So I had the plan that I want to finish around 2 hours. My previous half marathon best times were around like 1:30 to 1:45. I know that I'm not even close to that ability level right now, which I was totally cool with. But I thought, oh, I'd like to finish around 2 hours. But the closest that I could get was the 2:30-ish, 2:20, 2:30 Pace Bunny, which is quite a bit back from the 2-hour Pace Bunny, just because there are just so many people trying to get to the start line. So that's definitely at an improvement point. Then the race was the race. It was fairly flat. Like I said, Lululemon is all about the experiences. So there was a lot of cool things along the way between like DJs or cheer squads, drag queens, mermaids, running along the seawall, super pretty. My training wasn't quite what I wanted it to be. My training, I think I got up to maybe 14 to 16K. Can't quite remember. Somewhere's around there. Went to San Diego on vacation, missed 2 training runs, and then missed another training run. Anyways, so I didn't peak the way I wanted to. Around 19 kilometers or so, I was done. My hips were pretty sore and tight. My body was getting a little bit sore. It was hard mentally and physically, but honestly, like, I can do hard things. I can get through that extra 2K. But finished. Got my medal to prove it. Anyways, really nice medal. One of the things I used to always say as a half marathoner, because at that time, basically you had to run a half marathon to get a medal. They didn't really pass out medals for like 5 and 10Ks. But what I used to say is you run the half marathon for the medal and for the food. That was especially true for the Disney Goofy Challenge that my sister and I did. But got the medal, and then along the way, as you walk up to the convention center, they have kind of little stops along the way where you could grab like a towel to towel yourself off with, a wet towel, and then the next drop is you drop it, which I thought was a really nice touch. There's also a special finisher's hat, which is cool. But I don't know, it just looks funny on me. These peaks here just don't look good. But I don't care. I'll wear it with pride because I earned it. But that's cool. And then as you made your way further up, there was brunch. And then there was like this recovery lounge thing. You had to wait to get in it. I didn't have to wait too long. I don't know how the lineup stacked up further on, but basically kind of, I don't know if it's the same place where the showcase was, could have been. It's about the same size of room, but there was where you could like choose your own experience, where you could go and try like Theraguns and different things like that. There were mats and rollers, and then you could wait to get a massage. So they had just like this huge area curtained off with like tons of massage tables, and you got a 15-minute massage. It was awesome. I think my massage therapist gave me a little bit longer than 15 minutes, which I am not going to complain about. But that was really cool. There was chiro there, physio. What else was in there? Oh, there was like a meditation spot. There was a spin bike area. Anything you kind of needed to just flush out and recover. So that was really good. I thought that was a really nice touch. And that was kind of the race. After that, Glenn decided it would be a good idea to go for a hike. Not a good idea post-race. He was feeling great. But like I said, I was pretty sore. The most sore I've ever been from a race. And it was my slowest half marathon. But it's what it is. The other thing that is part of the experience of going to the SeaWheeze is the Sunset Festival. And so at the Sunset Festival, there is food. They do a yoga. There's a concert. There's a pop-up shop there. And I think that's kind of it. There's, you know, like I said, it's all about the experience. There was a little vendor's market there. So at sunset, stood in line for the pop-up shop. I don't even know how long we were in line for at the pop-up shop. It was a while though. It was kind of disappointing. I guess maybe I didn't really know what to expect. But just some of they had just a couple of items that were branded with the sunset. So my t-shirt that I'm wearing, that's one of them. But I did get basically something that I've been living in since sunset, which is this sweater here that has it's got dog hair on it, but it's got the SeaWheeze Sunset Festival reflective down the arm. And this is like the softest thing ever. Everyone who touches it falls in love with it. I don't know what style it is, but it's amazing. Then our plan was to get some food there. So in my head, I was imagining something like what the CrossFit Games used to do, where they used to bring in a bunch of food trucks, plus they had like food vendors. So I was expecting something kind of like that. It wasn't. They had different food vendors, but the food just really wasn't that great. So and so there's like hardly any lines because we were there super early because we're old and I wanted to leave early because I'm old. But there was really no lines, and we got a poutine, and the poutine was cold. I had to take it back because that's how cold it was. I got a burger. The burger was okay, but it was like you could definitely tell it was like a frozen burger that was preformed, and I get it. But at an event like that, I guess I would expect a little bit higher food quality. So like some kind of cool local food trucks, I think would be an awesome addition to that. There was one food truck there for sure that was an ice cream, dairy-free ice cream. And so we got that. That was really good. Then we stayed for a little bit of the beginning of the yoga, but they had them doing chair pose, and there was zero chance that I would be doing chair pose at that point in the day. Didn't stay for any of the music. I was just too tired, and I'm old. And for me, I don't know, concerts aren't something that I really care about that much. So didn't stay for that. I think we ended up just shuttling back to the car and kind of heading back. Plus we had an hour drive back to Abbotsford to our hotel. So that's kind of what we did, is we just headed back. So that is kind of my review of the SeaWheeze. Definitely some of the things that I would improve upon would be working out the glitches, technical glitches in the registration process for the events. That's probably something they don't have that much control over, but that's probably something that could be improved for next time. The showcase definitely could be improved. And then the other thing I think is the start line setup is probably the other thing that can be fixed for the future. And then as far as the Sunset Festival, my recommendation would be to bring in some other kind of cool local food trucks so that they can showcase themselves as well as support the local community. And I feel like the demographic that's going to choose to go and do a half marathon is going to want to have something that's kind of that type of food versus like fish and chips that, or like a burger that is like preformed frozen burger. Just my suggestion. But 10 out of 10, would do it again. Totally going to register next year. Hopefully I get a spot in the lottery. Keep your fingers crossed for me. Two other pairs of shorts that I forgot to mention when I was talking about my other clothes. So I bought these Tracker shorts in blue. Tracker and Speed are definitely two of my favorite shorts that Lululemon makes. And I also bought these ones. I like them because they're kind of fun, but they're black and white, so they're going to go with everything. So just thought I'd hop back on here and tell you that I actually bought more than I realized. Don't tell Glenn.